Bonjour, and welcome back to the Root and Rise podcast. I'm your host, Brienne, and today we begin our series on the seasons of growth. It's based on the seasons and cycles of both growth and life. I'm talking about death, rebirth, rooting, sprouting, rising, and finally blooming. This is the ultimate growth series to help you enter your bloom era. And the Root and Rise podcast is also going through its own death, rebirth, and coming out with a fresh new name, the Bloom Era podcast. But really, this is all about your bloom era. This podcast has always been dedicated to your growth, healing, and empowerment, and will continue to be, just with a brand new name, breathing new life into my podcast, my brand, and all of my work. I'm still here to give you the same healing and revitalizing energy that you need to really transform your life, allowing you to finally step into the life that you know you deserve, entering into your bloom era. Let's get straight into the first part of this series, death and letting go. This season of growth is probably the least fun. It feels like hitting rock bottom, like the ultimate loss. Maybe it's the loss of relationships, the death or loss of who you are, what you know, what you do, where you exist in life, and what exists right along with you. This season can cause you to feel lost, hopeless, stuck at rock bottom, miserable, or just down in the dumps. You don't deserve to be stuck in this place, and that is why I am here. To help give you the tools, mindset shifts, actionable steps, and new perspectives to help pull you out of this spot and get you on the path to blooming. It's not going to happen overnight. This is a 6-part series dedicated to all of the seasons and cycles of growth that will land you right here in your bloom era with me. Anytime you find yourself entering a new season in life, I hope that you save this series to help you move through the seasons with a little bit more ease, because these are cycles and seasons. They will come and go. That's just a natural part of life. You're likely going to move through these seasons more than once. The more we do it, the more resilience that we build, the more confidence that we have in ourselves to move through each season, and the more tools that we collect along the way to make it just a little bit easier. This season of death can be ugly, it can be messy, and it can get a little dark. Letting go of and saying goodbye to things that meant a lot to us at one point, or maybe still do, can be incredibly challenging. Whether it's a relationship, a friendship, old habits, old mindsets, where we live, how we live, or even who we thought we were. Whatever you feel like you are leaving behind can feel like a deep, deep loss, felt right to the core. Loss of the familiar, or what was comfortable for us. It seems like the ending of a chapter, a book, or even a storyline, but it's not the end of your story. It's the end of that old way of being, the end of that situation, or maybe that person's part in your story. But it's not the end of your story. And it's certainly not the end of you. It's easy to get stuck in heavy feelings or dark thoughts during this season of death. It's easy to question ourselves, our worth, our value, our power, our truth, and even sometimes our reality, all that we have come to know. We can get stuck in this dark spot if we aren't careful to let those heavy and painful things go. Traumas in life can make this a lot more challenging, but not impossible. I know that sometimes we don't get to choose the moments of our death and rebirth. Sometimes they come to us in a form of trauma, assault, or betrayal. For anyone who has experienced this, I will talk about this healing process more in depth throughout this episode and this entire series. But I want to stress the importance of expressing, processing, coping, and hopefully some therapy to ensure that this trauma doesn't become who you are, regardless of what brought you to this moment of letting go and death. I want you to hear this quote. Taylor Swift has a beautiful song on the Tortured Poets department called Cassandra, where she sings, "They say what doesn't kill you makes you more aware. But what happens if it becomes who you are?" I can talk about death and rebirth as a beautiful opportunity, and I do like to frame it that way. But it would not be fair for me to skip over the very real and very raw emotions that you may be experiencing right now, that I've gone through. Keep in mind, this entire series is birthed from my own healing journey, one that I did not ask for. It's incredibly unfair when it's not our choice to fall, to let go, to hurt, or to start over. I'm sorry that you're in this position, one that you did not ask for. You don't deserve that, and you're not alone in that. But I don't want that pain and trauma to become who you are. I don't want it to become who I am. We have to keep moving forward. We have to keep choosing our healing, our peace. We have to keep choosing ourselves. We can choose to let go of this pain and trauma and transform it into something else. And I am so glad that you are here with me on this new healing path. Maybe you're listening to this and feeling anxious or excited to rid yourself of these experiences and the past. But if that's you, don't be too quick to let go of the past just yet. In order to move forward, we have to take stock of our life, make a new plan, and be intentional with how we want to show up moving forward and what we're carrying with us. Take the time to rid yourself of the unnecessary space takers that will allow more room and space in your life for those positive new experiences and relationships. Taking the time to rid yourself of unnecessary space takers will allow more space in your life for all of that goodness that you are searching for. Think about plants. If you keep unhealthy or dying leaves on a plant, it will actually take energy from that plant's growth. Energy that could be spent forming new leaves or buds. Energy that would allow that plant to reach higher heights or more luscious fullness. This process is called dead leafing. It can be done at any time during the growth season, at the beginning or the end. Remember that as we move through this series. As you start growing and moving through the new seasons of growth, you might find some new dead leaves along the way that you need to prune. Because you are that plant. And your dead leaves are those toxic relationships, bad habits, and unhealthy behaviors that you are hanging on to. So let's prune those dead leaves. Leave them behind and start allowing your energy to go towards things that will actually serve you and help you grow. Holding on to something that once served us but no longer does is so easy to do. Trust me, I've done it many times, but it's not healthy for us. Resisting letting go of those dead leaves keeps you stuck in a place of grief, discomfort, disappointment, discouragement, and hopelessness. It keeps you stuck. Holding on to things that you have outgrown will not bring you any peace, understanding, clarity, closure, or healing. Letting go does that. Healing does that. Moving forward does that. Growth does that. Holding on to the past can cause us more pain than joy. Leave it as it is. Accepting can be hard when you don't feel like you have the closure that you want, the answers that you need, or the healing over the wound that you thought you would have by this point. Even holding on to good memories can be a bad thing when overdone. It can keep us from living in the present, allowing ourselves or others to evolve while appreciating the parts that made them who they are and you who you are. I have held on to relationships and situations much longer than I needed to, hoping to find answers, understanding, and the closure I thought I so desperately needed to find peace again. It kept me knocking at a door that was not only shut, but locked, moved, and shredded like the doors in Monsters, Inc. I've talked about feeling this way with my relationship with my mother in my episode on healing the mother wound. By resisting this season of death and letting go, you are also resisting change, growth, new relationships, and new positive experiences from entering into your life. Trust me when I say that there is so much more out there for you. Better things are coming. Just as soon as you let go of the things that aren't serving you, helping you grow, or that are not in alignment with the life that you are trying to build. Once you let go, you'll see that you have space for what you want. You created a space that is in alignment with what you want. Like they say, if you build it, they will come. If you build a life with space for new relationships, new positive experiences, new habits, new mindsets, passions, adventures, and all of that wonderful newness that you are looking for, it will come to you. And I'm going to ask you honestly, or at least ask you to ask yourself, how long did you plan on letting all of this drag you down? I am here to help you turn this pain into your power, to find the lessons, take those lessons and the strength that you have discovered in yourself to a whole new level in life. I know it can feel like a loss sometimes, but really you are being protected and redirected to a better life, to better experiences, better relationships. This loss can be a gain, and I know you probably don't feel it yet. You might not see it for a while. And I've been there. I have been in some really, really dark places. I've experienced deep loss in all areas of my life. And I'm coming to you from the other side to confirm that you are being given an opportunity to create the life that you want. You are being given the opportunity for a new chance, a new change. We might be talking about the death of something here, but it is my intention to breathe some new life into your inner world, into the new opportunities, the new relationships, and the new and positive experiences that are awaiting you. Ones that will be so much larger than anything you are facing right now. We will focus more on moving forward and all of the goodness that comes next in other parts of this series. But in pushing forward, we often forget to give some attention to the things that we are leaving behind. We are gifted such an amazing opportunity within change and each of these seasons to assess our lives and decide what we truly want to carry forward with us. What's actually serving us? What kind of life we want to build, and the person that we want to become. If we don't take the time to truly let go of those dead leaves, pick them off one by one, they're just going to linger in our lives. They're going to take energy from us, and our growth will be stifled. That is far more uncomfortable than just getting real with yourself and creating that change in your life. Doing the work now is going to lessen the emotional and mental load later on, allowing you to put more of your heart and mind and time and energy into your new goals. Maybe you're listening and you're feeling like this change in your life is welcome, maybe even invited. But just because we are happy about this change doesn't mean that there isn't space for acknowledging the feelings of sadness and grief or loss. It's all a part of the process of change. We only have a certain capacity within us to give to others, to work, to our homes, or even to ourselves. When things within us are shifting, it can impact all of those other areas of your life too. As we grow and really start to bring in new habits, routines, behaviors, or ways of being, maybe even new relationships, new jobs, new experiences, we have to make room for them. If you've ever been at any bar during closing time, you know the semisonic line all too well. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. We've probably all heard it. It's probably etched into your brains like mine. But it's so true though. With this new beginning comes an ending. I saw this quote a long time ago that has always stuck with me. Let it end, let it hurt, let it heal, let it go. We are letting this end, so let's let it hurt so we can let it heal and we can let it go. For those of you who feel comfortable feeling your feelings, allow yourself to stay in this stage as long as you need. But be careful not to linger there too long or you are going to miss out on what's to come. And for those of you who are less comfortable acknowledging and feeling your feelings, this might be a challenging area, but we have to move through these feelings in order to let them pass, to allow yourself to truly heal. And I know you can do it because the alternative is pretty bleak. I'll link an article from Psychology Today showing the science behind why suppressing our emotions can lead to physical and mental health problems, just in case you want to dive deeper into this topic. But just know that suppressing your emotions can lead to more stress, health issues, and more problems. It can also keep you from being able to see your life clearly, yourself clearly, and the healthy exit from all of this pain. I get it. Acknowledging the pain is uncomfortable. Feeling the pain is uncomfortable. But it's time that you faced the music and felt those feelings, even the ones that we've deemed quote unquote bad. Allow yourself to feel those bad feelings. The anger, the rage, the resentment. Giving those feelings space now allows you to start incorporating those healthy coping skills that much sooner. I've talked about it in past episodes, but this is where taking care of my physical being comes into play. I recommend somatic therapy for anybody who's interested in processing those trapped emotions that so often get stuck inside of our body. And that's exactly why I turn to the stress response cycle in order to process and work those feelings out. I've talked about the stress response cycle and how we need to express emotions to release them and the energy from our bodies. I'll include some links about the stress response cycle and why it's so important to actually complete the stress cycle. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it on the screen. I know that a lot of the time people will say the solution to overwhelming emotions, burnout, or stress is self-care. And you know I'm a huge advocate for self-care. But when you're overwhelmed with heavy emotions, self-care is really just a band-aid on the situation. The best thing that you can do at that moment is to relieve the stress, to release the stress. Your body is wanting to react, to release the stress, to fight, flight, freeze, if you're familiar with those trauma responses. So do exactly that. Release that energy in one way or another. Don't keep it stuck inside of you. Releasing stress can look very different for a lot of us, just based on our natural response or even the timing or situation. If you want to learn more about trauma responses, please send in all of your questions using the comments or my community survey that will be linked in the episode description. I have a series on trauma responses already in the works, and your voice can help shape it for others. Let's get into some examples for how you can release stress so you can take some actionable steps away from this episode. If your natural response is to fight, complete that argument on paper. Or exercise. I personally enjoy my punching bag for these moments. Or if you're more of a flight kind of person, like myself, maybe going for a run or walk and imagining yourself physically distancing yourself from the problem can help. And if you are a freeze kind of person, try a body clenching exercise. Clench every single part of your body for 5 seconds. Release and repeat. You don't have to move, but you are still releasing stress. This helps me fire all of my muscles, relieve stress, and then actively relax, which intentionally helps my brain and heart relax too. If you have kids, you can also just have a mini dance party. Shake it out. I guarantee that they will find it incredibly entertaining and have a ton of fun. My kids certainly do. Release all of that pent-up energy through your dance moves. Shake, bounce, and jump it out. Some other examples and things that I've done to release stress: journaling and brain dumping, getting everything out of your head, all of the complaints that this isn't fair, it isn't right, I hate this, I hate them, they were terrible. Every thought you need to get out of your body, and then tearing the paper. Or even just tearing a blank piece of paper. That's a great non-damaging, destructive thing that you can do. Another uncomfortable feeling to feel, but we cannot forget to address, is grief. Grief for all we have lost or will soon be leaving behind. I've heard grief described as a swamp. It's messy, uncomfortable, and miserable to sit in. And yet, here we are, in the middle of a swamp, in the middle of grief. But this isn't where you live. It's just a place that you are passing through. Feelings do not live here. They are just visitors passing through. Allow yourself to feel grief, to feel sadness and loss. And allow yourself to cry if you can. I couldn't allow myself to cry for quite a while after an abusive relationship because crying always brought mocking or more pain. It felt like a weakness that was always taken advantage of. But I'm here to bust that myth. It actually requires a lot of strength to feel your feelings and allow yourself to cry. I have a pep talk about how being strong is not hiding your weaknesses or feelings that you absolutely need to listen to after this. The link will be in the episode description for you. What helped me begin to cry was learning about crying. Learning how crying can release hormones such as oxytocin and endorphins that can ease both physical and emotional pain, allowing you to feel better after crying. It can also lower your blood pressure, reduce anxiety, and remove toxins, as some researchers believe that emotional tears contain stress hormones that are flushed when released through tears. It is seen as one of the best ways to self-soothe. I'll have the research on all of that linked for you to check out. I'm also working on more episodes about moving through grief in general and grieving someone who is still alive. Please send me all of your thoughts and questions on these topics to help shape that content, both for yourself and others. Now let's talk about when you are feeling down on yourself. My seasons of death and letting go have had me questioning myself, my worth, and how quote-unquote bad I am for receiving these types of traumas. My husband sent me a video the other day that really resonated with me. It said something to the effect of, if milk goes bad, it becomes yogurt. Yogurt is more valuable than milk. If it gets even worse, it becomes cheese. Cheese is more valuable than yogurt and milk. And if grape juice turns sour, it becomes wine. Wine is more valuable than grape juice. You are not bad because you made mistakes or life has treated you badly. These experiences make you more valuable. This also kind of reminded me about how it takes incredible pressure and heat to make diamonds. We see this example in nature too. Plants not tested by weather or the environment won't grow as strong or resilient as the ones who have endured stress. This is why your house plant can die after a week-long vacation, while the exact same plant is just thriving outside after a week-long drought. These are all just examples of how challenges, pressure, and adversity can transform and mold us into something better and even more valuable than before. They increase your worth as a person, not decrease it. You have more resilience, deeper empathy, and a better understanding of life and all of its dark corners. You are stronger and showing up as a new version of yourself, a rebirthed version after enduring all of this. But how? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Let's first take a look at what you are carrying with you that needs to be left behind. I've got a list here to help you find some of those dead leaves. The first place you can look is the language that you use when speaking to yourself. Is that language serving you or empowering you? Another perspective to consider is whether or not you're speaking to yourself in a way that you would speak to a close loved one. Most of us aren't, and that is a huge opportunity for growth. Once we start being kind and compassionate with ourselves, we become capable of so much more. Or maybe the negative talk isn't directed at ourselves. We are justifiably mad at the world and putting it back out into the world by complaining, running your mouth about others, even if it's deserved, or talking about all that is unfair for you right now. I'm not saying you need to silence these thoughts or keep them inside. That's incredibly unhealthy. Get them out by venting to someone, journaling, or doing a brain dump like I mentioned before. But don't focus on these negative topics for too long. It's a waste of words, energy, and your time. All things that are incredibly valuable. You will keep attracting the negative by focusing on it. Let's focus on change, on the good things that you want to bring in. Instead, pour those words, energy, and time into your new path, your new habits, your new experiences, or relationships that actually serve you and your new life. Another place you can look for dead leaves is in your excuses. What excuses are holding you back right now? Pay attention to things that make you say, I can't, or not right now, or timelines that you put on yourself, like, I will do that once I meet some physical or emotional goal. I'm here to remind you that you are deserving and worthy of chasing your goals and dreams, growing and healing and living the life that you want. You are worthy of it right now, just as you are. And the last place for now that I have you looking for dead leaves is the need to compare yourself to others. The need for perfectionism and unrealistic expectations. You are worthy of complete acceptance of your wonderful self. We are all flawed in our own unique ways, and none of those very normal and very natural flaws make us unworthy of acceptance or love or getting what we want in life. Again, consider what you would tell a loved one who is comparing themselves to others at this time, and tell yourself that. We want to be selective with our energy, just like we want to no longer send energy to those dead leaves, those things that aren't helping us grow. We can redirect that energy towards things, people, and experiences that do help us grow. Another unexpected part of my healing journey was that my world all of a sudden felt a little bit smaller for a little while. During those seasons of deep pain and even deeper healing, I've had to shrink my social circle, my event calendar, and even sometimes how I'm showing up in the world to better protect myself and preserve my energy. Sometimes this means dedicating more time to myself and my healing and less to those around me. It feels selfish and can hurt when those people or experiences that you have less time for are ones that don't necessarily bring you down. But as I mentioned earlier, we only have a certain capacity within us to give others, to our homes, to our work, and even ourselves. When things within us are shifting, it can impact all of those other areas. This is a time to give less of yourself to others, except those truly relying on you, like your kids, your house, your spouse, or your work. Even then, I will still encourage you to seek out additional support or more understanding from those people and areas of your life. Now for the mindset shift. It is easy to get caught up in the loss and the pain. But like I said, we can turn that pain into our gain. One way is a simple mindset shift for that experience. I want you to consider what this loss or experience taught you. How has it helped you find more strength, deeper healing, or even clarity about what you don't want moving forward? Choose not to focus so much on carrying the pain forward with you, though it still will exist for a while. But instead, choose to focus on what you can take from this experience to be stronger, more healed, and more grown. How can this help you learn, grow, heal, and reach those new goals, people, or experiences that you want in life? Also, know that change takes time. It requires intentional efforts, forming new habits, stepping into new behaviors. It's not something that happens overnight. You have to take control of your life, take responsibility for it, and take it seriously. Because I can offer all of the tips and mindset shifts in the world, but it means nothing if you don't do something with it. If you don't take action and apply any of this to your life, you're not going to see any change. I'll help you through the process, of course. That's what this entire growth series is about. You might have to sacrifice time, energy, or habits that you've held on to that may even bring you some comfort right now. But you might have to sacrifice some of those things to dedicate it to the greater good of you and your growth. Don't ask me how I remember this or why it has stuck in my brain for so long, but when I was in elementary school, there was this group that came to perform at my school, and they sang a song that said, "If it is to be, it is up to me. Only 20 letters, 10 two-letter words. If it is to be, it is up to me." It has stayed with me for so long and has helped me take control and ownership over my life and the things that I want. I don't know, I hope it can help you a little bit too. This means you can't wait for the world to change, for that person to change, for how others view you to change, or for the situation to change. You have to change it yourself. You need to change yourself, change your life, change your habits, your behaviors, and change the way that you view yourself. Everything else can change once you do. And the best time to make this change is right now, when you are motivated. Not years later when these habits, darkness, and pain are even more embedded in you and your being than they are now. We can work to make a 1% change each day, a small and doable amount of inner and outer work to better ourselves and our lives. Maybe some days you'll have the capacity to do 5% or 10% more. And that's great, but set the daily limit and expectation of yourself to be 1%, so as not to overwhelm yourselves. If we aim for 1% change each day, imagine what your life would look like in 100 days. Or in a year from now, you will be thanking yourself for doing that work later on. And maybe remembering to come back and thank me. Because hearing that this podcast has helped you, even in the smallest of ways, is what keeps me going and offering more to you. The way I work to make a 1% change every single day and stay dedicated and consistent with those positive changes is my digital planner, which you can access for free today. I have created this planner to guide you through growth all year long. It's like having a little me in your pocket, offering you pep talks, reminders to care for yourself, challenging you to grow, and as with any planner, keeping you organized. I originally designed this planner for myself. It's all of the ways I keep track of my day, my endless to-do lists, and how I'm caring for myself, both mentally and physically. It has prompts that have been challenging me to step outside of my comfort zone, develop new positive habits, and make more meaningful connections each day. All of the things that I know improve my own life, one small step at a time. You can access my planner and get more information through the link in the description on here or by sending me a message over on Instagram or TikTok. You can find me at my new handle, Bloomera Podcast. I will also have some additional episodes that you can listen to after this that can help you through the process of letting go. One's about friendship breakups, difficult conversations and boundaries, finding clarity in the digital noise, and that pep talk on how being strong is not hiding your weaknesses. I know I've left you with a lot of homework already, some actionable steps, mindset shifts, and hopefully some new perspectives to carry forward. So this is where I'm going to leave this episode for now. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comments or use that community survey that will be linked in the episode description. In the next episode, we are going to let go and leave all of this behind and focus on our rebirth. Because this series is based on the seasons and cycles, both in growth and life. Just as a reminder, that's death, rebirth, rooting, sprouting, rising, and blooming. It's the ultimate growth series to help you enter your bloom era. Thank you so much for being here with me today. It is an honor as always. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on this series. I'll see you in the next episode.